Happy holidays, YouTube. And I say happy holidays because there's more than one. My wife and I celebrate Yule, and we gave each other gifts on the 21st. Though technically I didn't really give my wife a gift. She's buying herself some artwork from the artist Miss Monster. You can find Miss Monster's work on DeviantArt. I think Miss Monster also has her own page. She designs t-shirts and masks and things like that. My wife will be hiring her to do some tattoo flash because my wife wants a new tattoo. So I'm not really involved in that buying process. She's going to cut a check to the artist. The artist is going to design her, do a picture for her based on her design, and yay, happy Yule. But my wife actually gave me a Christmas gift, a Yule gift. And here you go. This right here, believe it or not, are magnets. And there's 216 of them in this little bunch. They are very strong magnets. One of them could quite easily hold a piece of paper to a refrigerator. And you can use them to create puzzles and build things. I'm not particularly good at this moment. They do make a lovely stress ball. But I'd be delusional if I were to admit that the dominant celebration this time of year is Christmas. 78% of Americans identify themselves as Christian, some denomination, many of them probably non-denominational Christians. And almost everybody has some kind of holiday celebration that takes place on or around December 25th in North America. And even though my wife and I don't necessarily celebrate Christmas ourselves, our families do. So we get pulled into Christmas traditions as well. And we both grew up with Christian Christmas traditions. I wasn't Christian as a kid, mostly. I was mostly an atheist when I was younger. But I still celebrated because, hey, you know, Santa's magic, and who doesn't like getting presents? So some of the traditions that we grew up with, though, my wife and I, were, for example, my wife's family, they open their Christmas gifts on Christmas Eve, and they do it in a round robin, so that there's a big pile of Christmas gifts under the tree. As someone designated the gift giver, the disseminator of gifts, usually has a Santa hat, if I remember correctly, hands out the gifts to each person until each person has a pile of gifts in their lap or around where they're sitting. They then go around the room and one at a time open a gift so that that person gets that focus right there for that moment. And you get to keep a list, of course, so you can then thank people or send cards out, what have you, things like that. My stepfamily, my father remarried back in 1980, I believe it was, and he and his second wife have been married since then. And she had 6 kids, and they have a huge number of grandchildren, and I believe they're up to 5 great-grandchildren. So they would draw lots at Thanksgiving, and whoever you drew from that lot would be the person you bought a gift from, because the family was just so big, there was no way you could buy a gift for everyone. You just couldn't do it. The parents could probably handle that kind of thing, but the individual members of the kids in the family couldn't do it. And they open up all their gifts on Christmas Eve, but they have a Christmas dinner celebration on Christmas Day. Now, in my family, we always opened our Christmas gifts on Christmas morning, and the first thing you opened was your stocking. And in the stocking were always 3 items. You always got socks, dental supplies, brush, toothbrush, things like that, and candy to go along with the dental supplies. Of course, I don't eat candy any longer, so I just get socks and dental supplies. So I'm always set for socks every year. In fact, I don't think I've had to buy a pair of socks in 3 or 4 years. I think I've actually just opened up a package of socks that I got last year, like last month or so. We would also have our big meal on Christmas Day. It would be a special lunch. Traditionally, it would be beef or lamb. I believe my mother said that this year we're having beef. And in my parents' hometown, it was traditional to have Christmas trains. You had a train that went around your Christmas tree. And we had this when I was a kid. In fact, my mother and I, after my father had left, my mother and I built a Christmas train platform. We built it out of 2x4s, so it's not about this far off the ground. And it was on a full 4x8 sheet of plywood, which we'd covered with grass, and had permanent track built into it, and wired and everything. And there were holes in the thing, which you could put Christmas structures on this track, and there were lights that would come up from the bottom, so you could turn the lights on, all the little houses would glow, and there would be a little skating rink with little miniatures and everything, and, you know, animals and people and benches and stuff. So it would be a full-blown Christmas scene. And when we weren't using this, we'd pack all the things up, and we'd take this thing, we'd store it in the garage outside, because everything on the actual 4x8 piece of plywood was inert. It couldn't be harmed by the weather. So it was a wonderful memory from my childhood, because everyone had a train set when I was a kid. In fact, when I got to New England, and all my friends here, when I would see them at their homes, they didn't have trains, I was like, why don't you have a train around your tree? Because everybody had a train around their tree in my family. So, what are Christmas traditions that you celebrate? For those who celebrate Christmas, for those out there who are Christian, or atheist, or agnostic, or loosely anything that you like to celebrate, gift giving and Christmas trees and what have you. And for those out there who argue about the whole Christmas tree / holiday tree controversy, there are no Christmas trees in the Bible, folks. The Christmas tree is a pre-Christian symbol of eternal life. There's a reason they call them evergreens. It's a way of bringing in a symbol of eternal life in the longest, coldest, darkest day of the year. And remember, from this point on, the days are going to get longer. We'll have more light. There was a time in my life when I was really bothered by that fact, because I wasn't a big fan of bright sunlight. But now that I'm getting older and I lost a bunch of weight, and I am now almost always constantly cold in the wintertime, I kind of appreciate the additional sunlight. It's quite handy. So what are the traditions that your family celebrates, for anyone that celebrates Christmas?